Welcome back to our channel, where stories come to life. Today, we're heading down to Sunny Meadow Farm, a place usually buzzing with happy sounds and full bellies. And at the heart of it all is Farmer Harold, a kind man who loves his animals more than anything. But the smartest creature on the whole farm isn't a person, it's a pig. Meet Albert, a pig with a brain as big as his heart. While other pigs were happy to just roll in the mud, Albert was always watching, always learning. He knew the farm's routine better than anyone. He knew which chickens laid the most eggs, which cow gave the creamiest milk, and exactly when the feed truck was due to arrive. Life was simple and sweet, but one sunny morning, everything changed. A sign appeared on the farm gate: "Gone to visit my sister for a week. Be back soon. Love, Farmer Harold." A week. The animals looked at each other, their happy grunts and moos turning into worried murmurs. A week was a long time. The feed bins were already looking a bit low, the water troughs weren't quite full. A sense of unease settled over Sunny Meadow Farm. Without Farmer Harold, who would feed them? Who would make sure everything ran smoothly? The farm was facing its biggest crisis ever, a food shortage. Panic began to bubble up. The chickens started clucking nervously, the sheep bleated in confusion, and the cows mooed with concern. It felt like their perfect world was about to fall apart. But then, a calm, confident oink cut through the noise. It was Albert. While everyone else was panicking, Albert was thinking. He trotted to the center of the barnyard, climbed onto an old hay bale, and cleared his throat. "Friends, comrades, fellow farm dwellers," he announced. "Panicking won't fill our stomachs. We are a team, and we have a problem to solve. Farmer Harold has taught us well. We know this farm. Now, we must work together." The other animals fell silent, their eyes fixed on the little pig. Albert's confidence was contagious. He laid out his plan. "First things first," he said. "We need to take stock of what we have." He organized the animals into teams. The chickens, with their sharp eyes, were tasked with counting every last grain in the feed silo. The cows, tall and strong, were to measure the water in the troughs, and the sheep, with their excellent memories, were asked to count the bales of hay in the barn. This was Albert's first big lesson for the farm. Knowing what you have is the first step to figuring out what you need. It's called resource management. Just like when you check your piggy bank before you decide to buy a new toy, the farm needed to know its resources. The team set off, and soon, the numbers came back. The situation was serious, but not hopeless. They had enough feed for maybe 3 days if they were careful. "All right, team," Albert oinked, his mind already racing. "Our next step is rationing. We can't eat like we usually do. Everyone gets a little less, so our supply lasts a little longer." This brought some grumbling, especially from the bigger cows, but Albert explained it patiently. "It's about fairness and survival," he said. "If we share what we have, we all make it through together." Next, he turned his attention to the different dietary needs of his friends. Not everyone on the farm eats the same thing, you see. It's a fascinating part of farm science. Albert knew this. "Cows and sheep," he directed, "you are herbivores. Your bodies are designed to eat plants, like grass and hay. We will make sure your grazing fields are managed properly." He then waddled over to the chicken coop. "Chickens, you are omnivores. You eat grains, but you also love bugs and worms. We need you to help with pest control in the garden, and in return, you'll get a tasty, protein-packed meal." And for himself and the other pigs, also omnivores, Albert designated a special area for foraging for roots and fallen fruit. By understanding what each animal needed, Albert created a sustainable food plan that made the most of the farm's natural environment. It was a masterclass in biology and teamwork. With the immediate food situation managed, Albert looked to the future. A week was a long time, and what if Farmer Harold was delayed? They couldn't just rely on rationing. They needed to produce their own food. Albert remembered watching Farmer Harold in the vegetable patch. He knew about seeds, soil, and sunshine. He gathered the animals again. "We are going to become farmers," he declared. He led a team to the tool shed. The strong horses, with a cleverly designed harness, Albert sketched in the dirt, helped pull the plow to prepare the soil. The nimble goats used their hooves to break up large clumps of dirt. It was hard work, but seeing the neat rows take shape filled everyone with a sense of pride. Then came the planting. Albert had found a bag of fast-growing seeds: beans, lettuce, and radishes. The birds, who were usually a menace to seeds, were now allies. Under Albert's direction, they carefully dropped seeds into the furrows, their delicate beaks perfect for the job. The smaller animals, like the rabbits and squirrels who lived nearby, helped cover the seeds with soil. The final step was watering. The ducks and geese, who loved water more than anything, formed a bucket brigade from the pond to the new garden, splashing and quacking with joy. The whole farm was a symphony of cooperation. Everyone had a role, and everyone was important. They weren't just a collection of animals anymore. They were a community, working toward a common goal, all thanks to Albert's leadership. The days passed. The small green shoots began to poke through the soil. Hope was growing on Sunny Meadow Farm, literally. The animals worked together every day, tending to their garden, rationing their supplies, and keeping the farm tidy. They felt proud. They were not just surviving, they were thriving, but their biggest challenge was yet to come. One afternoon, the sky turned a dark, angry gray. The wind began to howl, and the air grew heavy. A storm was coming, a big one. Albert looked at the new vegetable patch, the tiny, fragile seedlings trembling in the wind. A heavy rain could wash them all away, destroying all their hard work in minutes. Panic started to creep back into the barnyard, but Albert stayed calm. "Don't worry," he shouted over the wind. "I have an idea." He remembered seeing Farmer Harold dig trenches before a big rain to guide the water away from the crops. "We need to build a drainage system," he explained. "We need to dig channels to lead the rainwater away from our garden and toward the pond." There was no time to lose. The animals sprang into action. The pigs, with their powerful snouts, were natural diggers. They started carving channels in the earth around the garden. The sheep and goats used their hooves to clear away loose dirt and rocks, while the dogs helped by barking directions and keeping everyone's spirits up. It was a race against time. The first drops of rain began to fall. Faster and faster they worked, a blur of fur and feathers, all moving with a single purpose. As the rain turned into a downpour, their little channels became rushing rivers, diverting the flood of water safely around the precious seedlings. The animals huddled together under the cover of the barn, watching their plan work. The garden was safe. They had faced the storm and won. They weren't just a team anymore, they were heroes. Exhausted but triumphant, they watched the storm pass and a rainbow stretch across the sky. The next morning, the sun shone brightly on a farm that was not just surviving, but flourishing. The garden was glistening with raindrops. The animals were organized, and the feed bins, while not full, were stable. And just as the rooster crowed to greet the new day, a familiar sound came rumbling down the lane. It was Farmer Harold's truck. He was back. Farmer Harold stepped out of his truck and stopped dead in his tracks. He stared in amazement. His farm was cleaner and more organized than he had ever seen it. There was a brand new, thriving vegetable garden that wasn't there when he left. His animals were all safe, healthy, and looked proud. He couldn't understand it. He walked over to the barn, where Albert was overseeing the morning's chores. Farmer Harold looked at the clever drainage system around the garden, the neatly organized tool shed, and the happy, well-fed animals. He knelt down and looked Albert right in the eye. "Albert," he said, scratching the pig behind his ears, "I don't know how you did it, but you saved the farm." Albert just gave a happy little oink. He knew he didn't do it alone. He looked around at his friends, the cows, the chickens, the sheep, the horses, all of them. They learned that with leadership, clever problem-solving, and most importantly, cooperation, they could overcome any challenge. Sunny Meadow Farm was more than just a place to live. It was a home they had built together. And that's the story of Albert, the pig who became a hero. It just goes to show you that no matter how small you are, a big brain and a good heart can make all the difference. Teamwork really does make the dream work. We hope you enjoyed our story today. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.